Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Locked On Seminoles Bowl Spectacular. Okay, no graphic. I thought our graphics guy would throw something on there, but anyway, you guys got a fuller house. That's right, it is the sequel, which means no Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen because, well, they cost too much money for that Netflix production, but fortunately, John Stamos was able to make an appearance because, let's be honest, his career has gone down faster than a roller coaster ride in the United Kingdom that wasn't subject to certain safety protocols. You can Google that to know what I'm talking about. Ladies and gentlemen, it is nighttime. It's bowl season. We got Danny Domino in the house. We got Dave in the house. We got Drake in the house, and we're going to talk about all of the bowl games and give you the preview you need because it is Capital One Bowl Week. Let's rock and roll, baby.
You are Locked On Seminoles, your daily podcast on the Florida State Seminoles, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to our Bowl Spectacular. Here's what you could expect today, tomorrow, maybe even the next day, depending on how this goes. We are going to talk bowl games because they are the reason for the season. We know you love your families, but let's be honest, families are one of those things where you like to talk about the time you spent with them later after you survived it. During it, it's tough. It's not the easiest thing in the world because like me, when I'm with my family, I get relegated to the basement. Those are baseball bats in the background because we all have strange hobbies. And I'll blink 3 times rapidly if I need assistance and you guys know who to send. But gentlemen, let's go around the horn with our first bowl game. We're going to start with probably the best bowl to make if you miss the national championship playoffs. That's the Bahamas Bowl. Nassau, Bahamas. Yeah. Oh, man, boy, did we have a time in Nassau this year.
Yeah, we
didn't do an episode for 2 days after. And that's Middle Tennessee State at 6-6. I believe they come from where are they from, Danny? Not the MAC.
Conference USA.
The UTSA, which will cease to exist
after,
what, 2 years?
No, they're trying to add D1 AA teams to it.
I think they just added JMU to that too, actually.
So yes,
Jacksonville State and James Madison.
Mm-hmm. So yes to your question, they will cease to exist.
So Florida State hasn't lost to a FCS team is what you're saying.
Correct.
Don't do that.
We're not doing that.
So they're playing Toledo 7-5 from the MAC. Am I off here? When I think about these two conferences, it's like, yeah, they're all in the group of 6 or whatever, group of 5. But like CUSA to the MAC is like the Pac-12 to the SEC, maybe not the SEC, but close to it. I mean, the MAC's one step below the AAC. Toledo should throttle this team, right?
Yeah, they're 7-5, like you said. Their 3 MAC losses were by 3 points each. They lost at Notre Dame by 3. It's very easy, a 10-win team. I would imagine Toledo rolls pretty big in this one.
Yeah, and by the way, folks, this is a relaxed night. Your boys got one of our they're not a sponsor, but you know what it is. And if you want legitimate handicapping, that will be on some of the games. But some of these games, we're just going to call them like we sees them. Right?
It's a reoccurring theme you're going to hear. Any team with like a directional in its name is automatically worse than the team they're playing, Middle Tennessee. They're not very good because they have Middle in their name. And you're going to see that come up again and again. There's tiers to it, but Middle is not a good one. Toledo's going to kill it.
Yeah, and also
Middle is bad, Midwest is bad.
Yes.
Anything with like Midwest, such and such state, like that's basically the Southampton Institute of Technology.
Yeah,
I just have one, point. Billy Hoffman retires the quarterback in four games into the season at Middle Tennessee State. So Toledo's going to beat them by 30.
Let me rework my theory in here because this is going to two directions here. You have Coastal and you have Northern. Think about this.
But Coastal's not even a direction. Like it's like
the region.
Ugly redheaded cousin of directions.
You would rather live in a coastal region than a northern region.
No. I'm with you.
Right.
That's what I'm saying. Is it's like coastal in California would be the west. Here is the east. So it is an omni. In Ireland, it would be the north or the south or the east or the west because it's an island. So like it is an omnidirectional term, which is highly indecisive
every time.
Which is how actually Grayson McCall has been with the ball this year, highly indecisive. He's made a lot more mistakes than he did last year, definitely plummeted his draft stock. And yeah, I would expect Northern Illinois to run away with this one. Is it Grayson McCall? What's his first name? I don't know.
It's Grayson.
Yeah.
Yes, let's go.
I love the
It might-
10-point underdog pick coming out
Yeah.
swinging.
I love it, dude. Northern
Max,
Illinois.
I will push
You live
back
on the
on
coast.
that. I will push back on that because Grayson McCall has a 207.1 passer rating.
Okay,
Awful.
but yeah, if he maybe decided to throw to less receivers, he'd have a lower
So did
rating.
Kyle
So he's been
Trask.
highly
How'd that work out in
indecisive.
their bowl game?
So let's roll up the trail to Boca Raton, Western Kentucky versus App State. All right, so do we have picks for this game? What should the people – and Danny, can you give us some betting lines, by the way? Because I don't have bet online.
I have all
guess
the
I'll
betting
pull up.
lines here. So any games you guys want, I got lines and totals.
Okay, you just just throw some of those out for us too, man. Like, let's help the
Western
people. I
Kentucky
can't get the
plus
bet online.
2.5.
.ag. Western Kentucky plus 2.5. Okay, so here's my problem with this, right?
If everyone plays.
If everyone plays. Okay, so you got an 8-5 team against a 10-3 team. You have the former home of Scott Satterfield versus the former home of Willie Taggart. Both of them did very well at these institutions, which tells me it's not very hard to do well at these institutions.
Willie Taggart was
tells
a better
me-
player than coach there.
That's terrifying. But anyway,
Too much Willie
God,
Taggart.
dude, you
talk
ever
already.
think
What are
like
we doing?
maybe he would have been a great head coach if like Florida State had just given him an offer? Would have been such a fan. Anyway, I'm going to roll the dice here. I'm going to take the favorite, Western Kentucky, because I think that state probably
Western
better than
Kentucky's
North
the underdog.
Carolina.
Western Kentucky's the underdog.
Whatever, I'm still taking them. I don't. Okay,
There we go.
whatever.
Hey, if you're by
If
yourself,
you, look, if you ask me to pick between two states, North Carolina and Kentucky, one gave us bourbon, one gave us like basketball.
Flight.
I don't
Give us
give a
flight.
shit about basketball. Yeah, it's
basketball's Massachusetts.
Sure.
whatever, dude. All right, tobacco. One killed a bunch of
Yeah.
people. The
Holyoke,
other gives
Mass,
people the
Max,
best nights of
read a
their
book.
lives. All right, guys. So next we've got Marshall versus Louisiana, and this is when I get frustrated with bowl games because I skipped like 3. Doesn't matter. We'll get back
Yeah.
to the other ones.
Do
This
we
is when I
need
get frustrated with bowl games because you have these weird tie-ins, right? Where you end up with these 12-1 Louisianas against 7-5 Marshalls. I don't know, Danny. You probably have some insight onto this. You know these teams. What should we look for here?
I don't know. I mean, Louisiana's probably a better team, but Marshall's historically outstanding in bowl games. They got the Alabama D coordinator as their coach or whatever he was. They're going to be focused. Louisiana Lafayette's going through the coaching change, all that good stuff. I'll ride with the underdog. I would take Marshall in this one.
Look, Drake, you'll have some good insight on this, I feel like, after I go. The game's in Louisiana. It's in New Orleans, right? Have you ever been to Cafe de Monde? It's overrated, but those beignets are awesome, right? So
That's the only reason why you go there.
Yeah, it's the only reason you go there. You got to go with the team who has those close by because the closer you are to beignets, the better your life is and the more you're going to be good at football. So.
Yeah, I'm a fat dude, so I'm going to go with the state of beignets, the team behind the beignets, powered by Powdered Sugar and Bread. So give me Louisiana. They're at -5 right now. I would
I
definitely
might have to
take that.
switch my pick based on what you guys just said.
Yeah, and also I
Logic.
really don't care that Billy Napier's gone. I mean, I think they have a good interim coach in there right now. Their defensive staff. I mean, they lost their DB's coach to be the DC over at Florida. I don't care that much.
Danny, you played college football. Let me ask you, because I've actually been curious about this, and we all guess. If a coach has built a program, they've been implementing game plans all year long, they've played 13 games with a team, is them being gone for one game really that detrimental? Or by the 13th or now the 14th game of the season, can the support staff pretty much run the team the way they've been run? It's been run the whole season.
So it's like it's weird. It sort of depends on the coach. Like, I mean, you saw when Norvell left Memphis. I mean, they got beat by Penn State, but they put up points, like stuff like that. It's just sort of weird. Depends on the coach. Depends on, if he's more of a risk. The big thing is, are you going to be as risky? Do you know the certain setups and stuff like that? Like if you're in a 2nd and 8, you really like these 3rd and 3 plays. So your playbook's a little more open. The new guy might take deeper shots on 2nd and 8, try to make something happen. I don't think it's a huge deal breaker.
So what do you look at as a handicapper, someone that, pretty much gambles on almost every game when you see a coach departing? Like, how do you decide how much weight to put into that departure?
I mean, it sort of depends. Like the Notre Dame, I'll talk about that one later. They kept the whole staff except Brian Kelly. Louisiana, They lost the DB coach to Florida. I think they lost a couple other pieces as well. It's just sort of, and you got to go on the veteran team and stuff like that. It's weird. I've never been in a situation in a bowl game losing a coach, so I can't really speak on it. But it's more, is a guy aggressive? Who's taking over for him and stuff like that.
Yeah, Max, before you move on, let me add addition by subtraction here. Billy Napier is already doing a horrible job at Florida. We all know that. And so I expect the team to play well above how they've been playing all year and never have under him.
It's like some Donald Trump level stuff. We all know that. No one's agreed with you on that.
Everybody's saying.
Like last night when you were like, he's done horrible in recruiting. It's like, he's been there a week. Like, yeah,
everybody's saying.
Probably going to suck at recruiting for the first week.
But the other thing with that is Billy Napier, their teams this year won a ridiculous amount of like 1-score games against bad teams.
Yeah, now that is a legitimate point with Billy
and
Napier.
That's one of those things where, how he coaches. I don't know how much he actually had into it, but he could be playing it to where they have an experienced team. They have Levi Lewis in the backfield. He might be comfortable doing that, and some of the other assistant coaches might not be when they step up into bigger roles, stuff like that. So that's something that could play into it as well.
Yeah, no, that makes sense, man. So where are you going on this game? What do you think ends up happening?
I mean, I have Marshall. Never go against Marshall in a bowl game.
Fair.
But they sort of talked.
Except for last year when we lost to Buffalo.
I was on Buffalo that game, but
that was a historically good Buffalo team, though.
Jarrett Peterson's the real deal.
Lance Leipold's the man.
There's no one on Louisiana that scares me.
All right, guys. So we're going all over the state of Texas. Again, I don't know how Texas works, by the way. I don't think I just don't know if there's a difference between Texas State and the University of Texas. In California, you have the University of California system where they are the research institutions. And then you have the Cal State system, which is purely educational, which if you don't know, fun fact, that's why Fresno State and Cal State can never be a part of the Pac-12 because California schools, the University of California system, will not share a conference with the Cal State system. Weird way they do it. I don't know if that kind of division exists in Texas, but you have 3 UTs in bowl games this year, and the most, I don't want to say, I guess kind of the most out of left field is UTSA, University of Texas, San Antonio, the Roadrunners. Guys, give me a history lesson. Where the hell did these guys come from? Who's coaching out there? What happened? Because I'd heard of it because of NCAA 14. I knew they were the Roadrunners. All of a sudden they were 9-0 and they were ranked 15th. I mean, what's going on there?
Drake, they're your boys. I'll let you take that one.
UTSA is the crown jewel conference USA.
Mm-hmm. They are.
They really, really are. Meep all the way all year. Jeff Traylor is the head coach there. Yeah. He actually probably was, I think, in the running for the, I want to say TCU job, actually for quite a bit.
Texas Tech, I think.
Oh, I can't type in the thing. Darn it. Oh, there's a private chat. Okay.
Was it TCU?
It was TCU, and I think he was briefly leaked to SMU before Red Lashley took the job, but it wasn't Texas Tech. Because Texas Tech, they wanted the guy from Baylor really, really badly, immediately. Well, UTSA plays fundamental defense. They play high-scoring, fun-to-watch offense, and quite frankly, that's probably they should have been a top-ranked team earlier in the year. They should have been probably in top 25 by week 9. And they had the smallest slip up against North Texas, and then they absolutely just boat raced. Who was it, Danny, that they boat raced for a brief period of time?
Okay, so a couple of things. A, they got blown out by 24 to North Texas.
Yeah, they slipped up. That's what I said.
Yeah, like you said, a little.
And B, they didn't boat race. They didn't boat race the team that I will not name in the Conference USA title game.
49-21, they were up.
Right? All right, so Drake, I'm sorry, bud, but we got to approach this logic. So you said they had a little slip up against North Texas. They lost 45-23. And
North Texas needed to win that game to get bowl eligible.
And then you claim they boat raced Western Kentucky when they won by 8 points. So
yeah,
Western Kentucky was driving to tie the game.
Yeah. You watch the game?
Let's see.
I think UTSA.
So Drake has a point here. So here's the thing, Danny. I'm actually going to go. I'm going to say something in Drake's favor here. After 10 minutes into the game. After 10 minutes into the game.
Oh, Max, I watched the whole game, but
hang on, but this is a good stat. After 10 minutes had elapsed in the game, UTSA never had lower than a 77.1% win expectancy. So they beat them pretty good despite the scoreboard. But that being said, you can also have a post-game win expectancy that's positive and still lose. They still put themselves in a position to maybe lose the game.
Yeah, Western Kentucky shot themselves in the foot. But getting back onto the good with the Roadrunners here, I expect them to run away with San Diego State.
I see what you did there. Anyway, all right, good deal. So we got one vote for UTSA, and we've got one vote for whoever that other team is, San Diego State. Okay, so that's another team.
San Diego
State.
No,
It's all meat.
Meat, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, I thought Drake was. Oh, yeah, Drake's supporting.
Unanimous.
Well, fine. I vote for San Diego State because whatever. UTSA is stupid.
Because their punter's really good? Come on, Max. You're better than that.
He's so good.
Yeah, they've got a good. I always draft punters in the first round.
He has like a 90-yard punt this year.
Guys, let me walk you through a picture. You get off work. It's December 23rd. The next day is Christmas Eve. You probably don't have work. It's time to go drink 15, 16 Mickey Ultras. And what are you going to do after you're done with number 16 at 7:15 p.m. at night? Well, you're going to have a bottle of you're going to have a bottle of water, and you're going to wait until 7:30 when the battle for Florida starts. The Gasparilla Bowl in Tampa, Florida versus UCF. Guys, I'm not going to lie. I'm a little happy we didn't make a bowl game here. Guys, is there any other pick here besides UCF? Let me ask you guys this, because we're not going to pick the game. Is it a Pyrrhic victory if UF beats us and then loses to UCF in their bowl game? Does that make it?
No.
Okay.
Is there
They also lost to Samford though. Everybody remembers that happening. Florida did lose to Samford, in fact, so they could easily lose this game.
They didn't lose to Samford.
No, they did. We all talked about it.
They gave up 52 points.
They lost fair and square.
See, the thing is, no matter what for Florida, that's a win because they got the 15 bowl practices.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I wonder, how helpful is 15 practices? Well, let me ask this. Is Napier allowed to coach these practices?
He's allowed to be there. I don't think he's allowed to be involved.
Oh, so
better for
he's allowed
them
to offer words of encouragement.
He's allowed to be around the program, stuff like that, but I don't think...
when Lincoln Riley came into USC, I think the week before when they played Cal, he was kind of evaluating the roster. That's kind of when you start processing kids out, seeing who you want to keep for coming into the year. That's what he's allowed to do. He's not able to actually do any instruction. You'll see him walking around, but other than that, he's actually going to be putting into the work into that.
That's like Norvell at the Arizona Bowl. He was in the booth and stuff during the game.
Yeah, I always find that funny if you guys did. But listeners, if you don't know what I was quoting, that's if you look at the NCAA bylaws of what analysts are allowed to do, it's pretty vague, but it says they're allowed to be in huddles during the game. They can't coach, but they can offer words of encouragement.
Right.
Which is hey, I encourage you to run through the 2-hole encouragingly. Anyway. All right. So what do you guys think happens in that game? Seriously. I mean, look, the reality is UCF thinks that they are the next big thing in Florida. The AAC has gotten very large for their britches. UCF's now going to the Big 12. I think, by the way, it is a travesty of modern sports administration to not strip the Big 12 of their AQ status. I think it is absurd that you can add 4 teams and not at least make them prove it. Whatever. It's the Big 12 in name only at this point because their 2 best teams are gone. Historically, not disappeared.
Texas is not. They're one of their teams.
Historically, the past 20 years, those are their 2 best teams.
And also, they'll be gone in 2025, no longer next year, too. So
yeah. So those are their best teams. Their most valuable teams by far are leaving. And it's just you can bring in 4 other teams and we'll just let you keep that status. Whatever. I think it's dumb. Point being, this, I think, is one of those moments where UCF has a legitimate opportunity to establish themselves as, if you want to be the best, you got to beat the best. And yeah, maybe it's good for Florida because they got 15 practices and they can shrug it off as, well, we didn't try that hard and we didn't have a head coach. But if UCF wins this, I think that they're going to take that very seriously. And I think that it could, I don't want to say a program changer. It would be a very good way to start off their sort of journey to Power 5-dom. I don't know. That's not really more of a thought than a question, I suppose. But all that being said, I think they're probably going to beat the shit out of Florida because for all those reasons, they're really going to care. My point is, this is a huge moment for UCF. And I would be very surprised if they didn't come out taking it incredibly seriously. I think that they will view it in the same way they viewed their national championship as a major recruiting tool to say, hey, we knocked off one of the big three. When's the last time they played one of the big three? Does anyone know? The 90s, maybe?
Maybe. Before they,
Are they around
probably,
in the
I think
probably
they had a
before.
football program in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
they did.
I don't know if they've literally don't know if they've ever played
No,
one
I
of
think
us.
Max. I think you're right. The last time I think UCF actually played someone from the Big Three was when they were like a D2 school because they've only been a D1 school since the 2000s.
See, I thought they just started their football programs in the 2000s.
No, actually, one of my aunt's neighbor actually played football for them in the 80s.
Oh, wow. Then, yeah, I'm completely
Yeah,
wrong.
he played offensive line. No, I'm in agreement with Max here on that primarily because there's going to be a core four coming to Florida very, very, very soon.
Jesus
I mean,
Christ.
they have the largest alumni base who actually, a lot of them actually do care about the success of their football team. And
So who's replacing Miami?
probably them. If we're being completely honest here, they are putting their money where their mouth is. Like they had Danny White, who probably is one of the best 80s out there. He recently left for Tennessee, but he's put them in very capable hands with this replacement and fundraising wise over there. They actually are, moving forward with, better facilities, a bigger football program. And you kind of saw that with the actual hire
Don't
of
they have a
Gus Malzahn
huge
too as
football
well.
only facility?
Huh?
Don't they have a huge football only facility?
I'm not 100% sure, but I can text my brother right now and ask.
Yeah, so ask him. So they've played twice. UCF and Florida have played twice. They played in 2006. Florida won 42-0. They played in 1999. Florida won 58-27. My point is, this isn't UCF of the past. I mean, I think it's kind of delusional to think that they're not going to get a lot better. And I think that the worst mistake you can make is not taking a team seriously or a program seriously. I mean, UCF is literally almost identical to what Florida State was in the 80s, at the beginning of the 80s. A team that's had a couple successful seasons, but intermittently and never had a coach build a program there. Strong, big admission rate, high admission rate. Lots of people going there when they can't get into the other universities in Florida. And guess what? Salesmen make money too. A lot of kids leave UCF and they go make good money and they want to see their team have a good football program because they're tired. I can tell you this from talking to a ton of UCF alumni. They're tired of everyone that went to UCF being a Gator fan or being a Seminole fan. Like they want that team to be good. And with them being in a Big Five or a Power Five conference that, again, I know this stings. What is it, 2023? They will make more money than we do that year. And that will compound annually if their deal doesn't change. We hope it does, but we don't know if it will. So
they're making a football campus, by the way. Like they're making an entire campus just dedicated specifically.
we don't even have a football only facility. They're going to have a campus. So
Yeah, we have an indoor practice facility.
The point is that gives them a base of 60,000 kids at the school. A school with 60,000 people, the hit rate can be 1%. You're still going to have 60 people from each freaking, which I guess it's not a graduating class. You're still going to have 60 people on campus at any given time that become millionaires if your millionaire hit rate is 1%. And those people will eventually give money back. It's a growing program. And if they beat Florida, I think that's a huge step in the right direction. And I'm kind of rooting for them.
Doesn't matter.
I think Gus Malzahn wants to beat Florida too.
I agree with that statement too. I think UCF beats them by 30 points. Like Florida sucks.
Yeah.
We should have beat them in the last game of the year.
I mean, I don't know if I'm taking UCF money line, but I'd take them plus 6.5.
I think that's a good value. So, all right, final picks because we've talked about this one. It's kind of a marquee game. I think everyone are we picking money line or are we picking spread? What do you guys want to pick?
Money line UCF easy.
Okay, I'm taking money line UCF.
You get money line for UCF at plus 200.
All right, well, I mean, if the squad's riding, all right, yeah.
All right, dude, plus 200 is a freaking value. All right, let's roll. All right, guys, next game coming up. Oh boy, this is a fun one. This is going to be a fun one. I don't know why, but I kind of like Western Michigan. So we're going to stick with Western, 7-5 against Nevada, 8-4. Didn't Nevada have like a really good year like a year ago or something, 2 years ago?
Yeah, Carson Strong actually is a really good quarterback. The problem is Nevada just lost their head coach, Jay Norvell, to the Mountain West, the other team, Colorado State.
That's which is a very odd
It's a lateral move. That makes no sense to me.
I mean, he's making a lot more money, but that's a lateral move.
What city is that in? Western Michigan. Does anyone know?
Kalamazoo.
Exactly.
My school's quarterback will actually play QB actually at Western Michigan. If that tells you anything.
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Him too.
All right. So are we riding with the boys from Kalamazoo or the boys from Nevada?
Nevada.
Ooh, this is a fun one. So you know what I love more than anything? I love when a good Power 5 school, like a historically reputable name, gets to get beat by a non-Power 5 / non like
Houston,
whatever school. Yeah. Houston, Auburn. So it's one of those things. We've suffered through this, but like Auburn right now is truly Auburn in name only. I mean, they are bad at football. They almost beat Alabama, but other than that weird fluke, they are just, oh boy.
Yo, is Tank in the transfer portal or not?
No, he was. No, he's not.
It's unclear.
That's the best way to put it.
It's unclear. He said he was going to, or sources said he was going to. We heard he was. He pulled out. I don't know. All right, folks, we're going to dive into the good ones now before I tap out, hand the reins over, and go eat my food. So, do you guys want to? Gosh, there's so many like surprisingly decent bowl games this year. You know, people talk about like, oh, there's too many bowl games. There's too many of this. There's too many of that. It's like the average bowl game got like 3.5 million viewers last year, right? Like there's not too many bowl games. Just don't watch the ones you don't want to watch. There's enough, and there's actually a really good slate for that week that none of us know what to do with ourselves. I would like to start at Clemson and Iowa State.
Yeah.
First of all, it's a miracle Clemson won 9 games this year, but we'll get to that later. What the hell happened with Iowa State? Same coach, same quarterback. Would they start the season number 8 in the country? And they just pulled an O'Doyle family and drove straight off the cliff. I mean, what do you guys make of that team this year? Did they just start sucking? Did the rest of the Big Ten get better? Were they just exposed as not being that good last year? Where do we go?
I think their win total actually was like 9.5 games. And that was like extremely high expectations. I mean, their losses are to an Iowa team who at number 10, at the time was like on all cylinders. Lost to Baylor, who ended up being the Big 12 champion. But then you see losses like to West Virginia and Texas Tech, and both those teams aren't very good. And then they lost to Oklahoma after, the Spencer Rattler trains to Caleb Williams. So it's kind of like they won the games they're supposed to. They lost the majority of the games that they, were most likely going to lose heading into them. And they have maybe like questionable call with Texas Tech being a very bad team. So it's kind of like, yeah, I think they did follow short expectations. I think Brock Purdy, he was decent down the stretch, which ironically most of the losses actually were when he was playing better. But I think just overall their defense wasn't pretty good.
Yeah, so Iowa State has a better quarterback in this game. Isn't that fun to say? Clemson's been all year. I don't know how they won 9 games. If you watch their games, it's even more miraculous because they just don't look good at football. They have a good defense, but on offense, I can't name you a team that I've watched play football this year that I thought made it look more difficult than Clemson did this year. And you can't trust DJ Uiagalelei to throw the ball anywhere near where his brain thinks it should go. Their running game is limited to one player, so he key in on him. I don't even know what his name is. What's the white kid's name?
Shipley.
Their running back?
Will Shipley.
He's good. If you take him out of the game, though, they're not. So all you got to do is limit him. If Iowa State can do that, make them throw the ball. They're not going to be able to.
Yeah, I think that Will Shipley is he's frustrating because he reminds me so much of what's his name? I don't know. Yeah, this is a bad comparison. I was gonna say that guy for the Steelers.
I thought you were gonna say Peyton Hillis.
I thought you were gonna say Christian McCaffrey.
No, that's because they're both
naming white running backs.
No, the guy for the Steelers that like went to Michigan State.
Le'Veon Bell.
Okay, same concept in the sense, not how they run, nothing like that. Where like you watch him run, you're like, how is he getting so many yards? The difference is Le'Veon Bell was super patient, and it was like, how has no one tackled him yet? Whereas Will Shipley just kind of like looks like he's about to get tackled, and then he kind of doesn't, and then he's like, okay, that guy's going to tackle it. Okay, he made that guy miss. Okay, watch his run against us, that touchdown run. There's like 6 guys around him, and he just dives in the end zone.
It's like that Family Guy clip of like the dude like covered in like grease or whatever, and like he's like, don't touch me. It's like that.
It's so annoying. But I actually, to be honest, I think Clemson has done this year kind of what we did in 2015. I think when you've been good enough for a certain amount of time and you have the same players on the roster, there is a certain muscle memory and a certain pride to being good at winning football games. Like there were times I can remember back in my wrestling career where I was banged up or I was sick or like I had no business winning a certain match because of how I was doing in that tournament. But there were just kids I wasn't going to lose to, right? I could come into the practice room with 102-degree fever, 4 pounds overweight the day before weigh-ins, trash bags on, sucking weight. And there were kids in that practice room that on pure pride were not going to beat me. It just wasn't going to happen. And I think Clemson's done a lot of that this year. where like their name, just the logo takes over in the last 5 minutes. And I don't think Clemson loses to an Iowa State. I'm sorry. I think the logo still has weight. I think the dynasty they built over a 10-year period still matters. And I think that there will be a moment in this game, if they can keep it close, if it's within a touchdown going into the last 5 minutes, I think Clemson wins it because they're just going to have that moment of like, guys, we're Clemson. They're Iowa State.
Are you taking into account that like all of their assistants are gone and like no one has any?
Yeah, but I don't think
plays?
that. But it's not like these guys haven't been coached by Brett Venables for the past 2 to 4 years for most of them, right? Like they still know how to run a defense. They still know how to execute. Yeah, I'm taking that into account. I still think that that's my caveat. If it's within a score or seven points within the last 5 minutes, Clemson pulls it out. Iowa State jumps out early. Clemson just quits and says, we don't have our coordinators, and they're done.